Oh, you know which one was a rough one, and like Les Mis, like the Tom Hooper thing with
Yeah.
with Russell Crowe there
Oh,
was
Oh,
very out
jeez.
of place. It's just
you know
compared
what's
to Anne
crazy about that?
Hathaway.
I've never heard his music, but I mean, he is a musician. He sings, and so it just goes to show you can be a great actor. And I have no idea if he's a great singer, but you could probably be a great singer. Doesn't mean you're going to be able to act while you sing.
Yeah, that was a rough movie. That was like a nearly impossible movie. The only people that were really good in there was Anne Hathaway and Wolverine.
Hugh Jackman.
Well,
Hugh
that's what they said,
Jackman.
right? I cannot remember which critic said this, but they were like just nailed it. They said like this whole thing of like singing every single scene in the movie was ridiculous and dumb.
Yes.
But
It's the way the play is because it's sort of like an opera, but in a movie, you got to take a breath.
well, I mean, there's versions of the movie, one that I have on my shelf that doesn't have any music in it, and it's awesome.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
saying
Oh,
No,
it
you
doesn't need
can
well,
music,
definitely.
but
oh,
No, no.
I
Tom
mean,
Hooper.
it was
Tom Hooper goes
originally
too
a
far.
novel. You, I mean, you
yeah.
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. No,
So
no.
my
There's
point
no
being
doubt.
that
Sorry.
Yeah.
like or well, I shouldn't say my point. The point that the person was making, the critic that I was talking about, said like this whole thing of like recording live on like recording the music live on the stage or on the set or whatever when they're actually doing it. It obviously allowed them to do that crazy stuff where you basically sing every single part of the every single scene of the entire movie and all that crap, which I hate. But they just kind of said like what you end up with is in a musical you tend to have the songs are like the best moments. They're either the biggest moments, the best moments, or they're just the most fun, whatever. It just depends on the musical. But with this movie, it all just kind of like becomes like blah. Like it doesn't matter because every single scene is them singing. So it doesn't
Yeah,
mean as much. And what you end up with this weird technique they did is you get moments like Anne Hathaway, who was just astonishing in that song that she sings.
mhm.
You get moments like that are really great, but the rest of the movie all suffers. I mean, like you compare. Gosh, I'm so angry at myself for not remembering who the other. Liam Neeson. Compare Liam Neeson and Jeffrey Rush like facing each other down in the other version and they're just bringing it. Their acting chops and everything, and compare that to like the other one. Hugh Jackman and Russell Crowe, excellent actors, great presence, both of them. Probably should have been an amazing scene. Too bad they're trying to sing their way through it. It's just trash.
Yeah. There was some Disney executive at one point. I forget his name, but I think it was just kind of relevant when it came to musicals that like the good Disney movies, the especially the musicals, the just kind of describing the thought process was always that they had the songs there for these moments where the emotions could not be expressed in simple words,
Hmm.
and that's when you get a song, and they break into that, and you kind of get, and if everybody is just singing at you all the time, it does kind of muddy things down. Still, it's better than like that movie Dreamgirls. I don't know if either of you ever saw it, but
I saw a bunch of clips of it.
yeah. So that was a weird issue. Oh, geez, this is an entire digression, but maybe it'll become useful eventually. But so like Dreamgirls was originally a musical, performed on the stage, and they decided to make a movie out of it. And I think that it was one of those things where the filmmakers just didn't realize a major problem that wasn't a problem on the stage, but was a problem in film form, in that when it's on the stage, it's all on the stage, whether or not they're performing or just having dialogue between two characters that's supposed to be behind the scenes or whatever. That's all happening on stage. So when you see it in a theater, like when you see it on stage, it's all happening on stage. So your willing suspension of disbelief is kind of already ingrained. The thing is, the way the script was and the way that they did the movie, there's this problem in that all of the musical numbers for the first half of the movie are just them singing on stage when normal people would be singing. So you kind of get into this rhythm with the film where you just figure, okay, well, this isn't a musical. This is just a
movie with music in it.
Right, a movie with music in it. And then halfway through, that's when people suddenly started randomly breaking into song.
Yeah.
And that turned into a massive problem, at least for me. But
I think that the term they use for that is diegetic. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but like if it doesn't have to be people singing, but just music in general or singing that is actually supposed to be happening in like the characters themselves can hear is called diegetic. And then otherwise it'd be like a musical where it's like happening in their head kind of thing.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
Or
I
like
think we
music
learned
would
that
be just music for us, like the soundtrack. They're not
I
actually
learned that like in film school. Yeah, it's like occurring within the context of the story is diegetic, and then outside of the context, like like only the movie viewers hear it. That's like non-diegetic or something.
Yeah, like, and sometimes it can be both. Like really good filmmakers like Edgar Wright do this a lot, and Damien Chazelle and stuff, like where you have like a scene where it's clearly non-diegetic. It's like soundtrack thing. It starts out from a big crane shot or something, and you're following something, and it's like establishing a tone and all this stuff, and it's a pop song or something like that that everyone recognizes, and then it cuts to inside of a store, and it's the same song playing without skipping a beat, but now the tone of it has changed because it's coming from a speaker, and you can tell it's like someone's got a little radio on right there that they adjust as the scene starts or something like that.
Yeah.
So it goes from non-diegetic to diegetic.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a thing with movies. It needs to be a bit of a roller coaster ride. It needs to be like highs and lows, and yeah, musicals. I think you brought that up. Is that when certain emotions need to be expressed, or for me, I feel like in some ways, musical numbers can almost be seen as like a soliloquy in a Shakespeare play.
Yeah.
Where people get to express things that they might not express in dialogue between characters. It's like them taking a moment to express feelings that are internal. Well, one example for me of, because we talked about Russell Crowe failing miserably, is I think to me, Sweeney Todd always has like a warm place in my heart. I really love that movie. And it's got a similar thing there, only it's successful, is that if you notice in that movie, all the known actors don't sing that well, and all the less known actors are amazing singers.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's almost like an intentional choice because you have Alan Rickman, Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham
Carter. Yeah.
Yeah, and who's Tim Burton's wife, and then so they all sing well enough. They sing in key. She has like a pretty high. She can hit some high notes, but Johnny Depp and Alan Rickman are not tremendous Broadway singers. They can just hit the right notes. But then you have the two young people that are in love, the love story, and they sing like opera level good, and it kind of works on this level. It's like a generational thing that the generation, because it's a movie about hope and love in the face of all this disgusting killing spree and corrupt judge and all these things, but these young people that if I'm remembering correctly, they sort of get away in the end and start a new life. They're the ones who know how to sing, so that you have hope for them. And all the other ones, they're in the muck. They're in just like disgusting, dirty lives that they're living. So it's okay for them not to know how to sing. So it was like one place where having not as good a singer for certain roles actually made sense story wise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that we have a pretty strong history of movies. I mean, like, I mean, anybody who's listening to this knows that I'm not a singer because I have my strained, high pitched Woody Allen voice. But, like Gene Kelly was never much of a singer, but, he made a huge career in musicals because he was a great dancer. I think that there's a long history of movie musicals that have kind of mediocre singers that just kind of but can just kind of chew the scenery. Actual people who can actually sing can call bullshit on what I just said, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of any other examples, but yeah,
A lot
I
of
mean,
people talk a lot of trash about Gerard Butler being Phantom of the Opera, but I think that movie has a lot of problems that are a lot worse than Gerard Butler. I think he's okay.
I actually didn't see that one, so yeah, I'm trying to think of what other musicals I've seen in recent times. There's not a lot of them, so.
For me,
Well,
musicals fall into like categories for me. I have spent most of my life hating musicals. I love animated Disney musicals. Love them. Most of them are very, very good. At least, the ones made in the last century anyway. Those all pretty much get a pass. I think my brain just accepted the fact that, suspension of disbelief. I'm watching a cartoon. They're singing. It's fine. It doesn't make any problem or anything like that. Once we go into like live action musicals. Oh, and by the way, everything in South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut also falls right into that too, because that's an excellent musical. If it's not animated, I can pretty much count on my fingers how many musicals I've really liked, like really, really liked a lot. And there's not that many. I mean, I really liked La La Land, which is funny because I know a lot of people
That's
don't.
true. That's a recent
I
one.
like that
Yeah.
one a lot.
I loved La La Land.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he
Fairly
and they
recent.
weren't amazing singers, either of them, right? They're
Well,
okay.
I don't know. I thought the piano stuff was very impressive.
Ah, but he wasn't like. I mean, he learned how to make it believable, but I don't think he was the one actually.
Yeah,
Or
they
was
say he
it?
was.
He was. I
That's what they
actually
said.
heard something that he did a lot of training, but I do wonder because you really to get really
I'm
good at
sure
piano.
all of you at home can look this up on IMDb. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we can as well, but we're lazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say live action musicals that I've enjoyed are like few and far in between. I really love the Buffy the Vampire Slayer Once More with Feeling episode. I mean, that's something that when you get through 6 seasons of a show, if you're not already in love with the characters, it's kind of like, what are you really doing? So even though some of them were not real singers and didn't have great voices, and some of them were, it was very lopsided. Like if you're watching a lot, if you don't watch it isolated and you're watching the show, it's a pretty solid viewing for there. Going along with that, also in the same vein, the Dr. Horrible sing along blog. Totally love that. Love every second of that thing, particularly the second episode. But yeah, there's really not much else. Some of the classics that I grew up watching, I like. But getting back to what we said before, like the whole diegetic music thing, that is something I found that makes me appreciate and accept musicals more. So the more you can lean into that and if you can make, this is why I think La La Land works well for me as well. If you can make a musical where the story gives you a lot of excuses to have people either on stage or people that would be singing in real life, I don't turn off as much. So, like, for instance, a perfect example would be like White Christmas. I don't know if you guys have seen that or not. It's a Christmas movie classic.
I have not, but
I would say it's like a
either.
50-50 split. All four of the central characters are all performers. Some a couple of them are kind of famous performers in the movie, and they do a lot of performances on stage, whether it's actually in front of an audience or whether it's like a big music number for the movie, but then you find out as it ends that they're like rehearsing for something, you know, or whatever. And it's like, to me, that stuff just works really well. And kind of like going into what Matt was saying about Dreamgirls, it's like they kind of let you know right off the bat that it's a musical. It's not like that weird, you know, half and half thing. You get a good mix all the way through.
Yeah, I guess you know, I don't know if this is a digression, but I mean, one thing that I think that we can probably all agree on that is unforgivable when it comes to musicals are the jukebox musicals. You know, where where like instead of actually having original music, they just start breaking into like pop songs.
Oh, like Moulin Rouge and
Well,
I mean, particularly, I was thinking about Amazon's Cinderella movie, which is just an abortion.
I did not.
Okay. That's strong words there.
I saw a little ad for it, and I was like, they're going to ruin that story.
Oh, I mean, they have a whole storyline where, like, you know, this wise princess character is saying, "Oh, we need to adopt wind energy," and it's like it's the Middle Ages. You don't even have electricity. It's the dumbest.
It's a different problem.
It's the dumbest fucking movie I've ever seen. But and I've seen Man as the Hands of Fate. But yeah, I mean, like, the entire soundtrack is like, you know, like songs by Queen and Ed Sheeran and everything like that. Like, there are no actual original songs in the fucking movie.
Well, that's different. Yeah, Moulin Rouge did it a little bit better. I mean, they did use pop songs. They had some original songs, but a lot of it was rock songs and pop songs, and it sort of works. But yes, it's another thing that kind of takes you a bit out of the movie or makes it a surreal experience because it's like, oh, I know that. You know,
I go back and forth on that. I hated Moulin Rouge because I hated the way, I don't know, like, I don't dislike Baz Luhrmann. Like, I love Romeo and Juliet.
I do.
And,
he's a bit annoying, Baz Luhrmann.
And a lot of his movies that's a great way to put it. They're annoying. His movies are annoying. And Moulin Rouge annoyed me more than any other thing I've ever seen from Baz Luhrmann. Like, I mean, it annoyed the hell out of me. But, and I really disliked the aspect you're talking about where it's like the pop songs and whatever, and they're kind of all covers, whatever. But I have to say, you know, the romantic in me loves that scene where Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman are on top of the elephant. Like, I think he starts singing like a U2 song or something. I can't even remember exactly, but they kind of go into like 3 or 4 songs, I think, in that scene. But
it's a medley.
It's a weird little medley, and I don't know what it is. I love that scene. Kind of hate the movie, but I love that scene. But then like comparing that to like I absolutely love Across the Universe. I really like that movie.
I need to see that one. I've never seen it.
Yeah, I that one skipped my mind. Yeah,
What?
What? It just skipped my mind. I mean, yeah.
I'm sorry. I was like, if one of you guys hadn't seen it, I would have believed that. I was like, I can't believe that.
I totally saw it. It just kind of skipped my mind. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, like, that scene with Bono was really neat. But
it's a problematic movie. I just love it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Julie Taymor is another example of a director who is just kind of. I mean, it's hard to describe her. I mean, I mean, she's not annoying like Boz Luhrmann, but she's
What else has
just
she done? I can't
weird.
remember.
She did that Titus adaptation with Alan Cumming
She's
and
very
Anthony
flashy.
Hopkins.
That's why I stayed away from that movie, because I was worried it was going to be a bit too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not
I mean,
ashamed to say I listen to the soundtrack every now and then.
yeah. Oh,
It's the Beatles.
You're right. Right.
Well, they're all
But
covers though.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
all covers. Yeah.
But
I mean, covers of the Beatles. I mean,
right. Yeah. But I mean,
catchy stuff.
Yeah. Julie Taymor, made most of her career, in theater, not in movies. But and I think it often shows. But
Well, talking about theater,
yeah.
I was going to mention that I have to admit I'm a little inconsistent, perhaps, with my rules and what I like and dislike with these like musicals, because like I said, I really dug Across the Universe, but that whole thing they did where they took their all their songs and were like, these are the songs we have to tell this story. They created a story around the songs, just the Beatles stuff. And that was what they, what they restricted themselves to and whatever. The only thing I could compare it to really was Mamma Mia, because that's kind of the same thing. They just took ABBA songs and created a story around them. And I got to see Mamma Mia on stage, and even though it's totally not my thing, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
The moment I saw that they were making a movie about it, I was like, oh man, who's going to be in this? And I saw this crazy cast. It's a very bad movie. Like, just bad. Really, really bad. And they made
Sounds like it's bad.
to that thing. But maybe, I don't know. I have, maybe that falls into this other thing. I have noticed this, and I don't know, maybe I don't find very many people that agree with me on this, but I hate the movie Chicago. I really do. But
anything with Renee Zellweger
stage, though. Like, if I saw that performed by professional, thespians or whatever, I think I'd like the movie probably if I could see all those numbers in front of me live. I think there'd be a different energy, and I'd just gel with the story more and whatever. Just like I did with Mamma Mia, I'd probably, I'm just guessing here, but I just can't believe that won Best Picture. That was not.
Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm proud to say that I fell asleep in the theater watching that movie. But I did see it at a late showing and something. Yeah,
I envy you. But
that was a pretty bad movie.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, anything with Renee Zellweger in it, it feels like there's like an alarm clock going off right by my ear that I can't turn off.
Well, I mean, Jerry Maguire was good.
The only two movies she's ever been in that she didn't drag down was Jerry Maguire, and I don't even understand how that is. She's just really good in that somehow. And Empire Records. She's really good in that. In fact, I believe Empire Records is the reason she got Chicago.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, but otherwise, like, I mean, the funny thing is, after she won the Academy Award for Cold Mountain, I immediately turned off the Oscars and I didn't watch them again for 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
That's a pretty harsh, what's the word? Yeah, like punishment.
I mean, she was so bad in that
boycott.
I mean, I mean, the only way that I don't know if either of you have seen the movie, but
Cold Mountain?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it.
I saw that thing in the special features.
Yeah, but she was so bad in that movie. Like, the only way that I wanted to stick my finger into my eye, up into my brain, and swirl it around. just because that would be less painful than watching Renee Zellweger for another minute in that movie.
Okay. Well, trying to bring it to musicals.
Okay,
Try and wrap it up.
sorry.
Before I forget, like a few things I was going to comment about things that were said is because I feel like they are sort of like soliloquies. I totally accept it. Like I'm totally fine with the fact that they just burst into singing as long as it's consistent, of course, for the most part. So I totally buy that. And my favorite ones tend to be like some of the ones that have some edge to them that are not too cutesy, like Sweeney Todd, or older ones would be like Fiddler on the Roof. I always liked, and of course I'm a Jew, and and Oliver too. Oliver, for some reason, I really like that movie, even though I know some people don't like it as much. But then there are examples of the ones, and it's crazy we haven't mentioned this yet. Well, one that less known is like Hedwig and the Angry Inch. That one is an example of a movie where they essentially, most of the songs, except for like some dream sequences, most of the songs is a band playing a show.
Yeah.
And that's, so it's sort of like built into it. But the most important one, diegetic, and the most important one
Rocky
to bring
Horror?
up, what?
Rocky Horror?
Oh, well, no, actually, no. And I've never seen Rocky Horror, so I should also see that one. But
You can come over to my house. We can watch it on Laserdisc.
oh, nice. In any case, well, the one that's really important to mention as far as like the songs being done on screen is Once.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's like a big one, a big small movie, like that really
Great
nailed that, the whole like performing the songs.
Yeah, but
in the
that's
movie.
more of a, see, that's not a musical technically. That's a movie with a bunch of music.
Right.
Yeah, but it's almost the way musicals are much like porn, or at least erotic movies, where like every 10 minutes basically you have a sex scene. Like musicals tend to be movies where every 10-15 minutes you got to have a song. Otherwise it's not really a musical.
So there's an interview with Anna Kendrick, who, if ever she ever hears this, look me up. We gotta make something happen. Anyway, she had just, in this interview, she had just gotten done having like a crazy year where she did that Disney musical, Into the Woods or something like that, and then she did some other musical. I can't remember what it was.
Perfect something.
And no, the Trolls movie.
Oh, the Trolls. The animated.
And then she did the Pitch Perfect movie, or maybe this might have been the second one. So like movies, plural. And somebody said, "You're doing all these musicals." And she corrected them. She's like, "Well, Pitch Perfect isn't a musical." And they were like, "What are you talking about? It's like full of music, like tons of it." And she's like, "Well, a musical, the characters don't know that they're singing. Now, you can have songs where they're performing on a stage and mix those in too, like what you're talking about." But she says, for a movie to be a musical, they have to have those soliloquy type things like you're talking about, where the character doesn't know they're singing. We just perceive them as singing. And there has to be at least one of those in the movie for that to be a musical. That's just, and I mean, obviously that's one person's definition, but I always thought that was a pretty appropriate definition.
Yeah, so something like Sing Street, which was the same director as Once, that one is also only performances that are the songs, and there's less of them, and they're not as frequent as in Once. So that borderline would not be considered a musical, but it kind of is.
It's a very musical movie, but I wouldn't call it a genre musical.
Yeah, and then another good example
for me, at least.
A very, very good example, and a funny one is especially because Stephen Sondheim just recently passed away, and they're posting the South Park page on Facebook posted that he sent a letter to Trey Parker when Team America came out, and he said that he's made the best movie of the year, and he's voted for it to be nominated for Best Picture or something at the Academy. So
that is their best movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only that it's a great movie and one of the best comedies of all time, but it makes sense Stephen Sondheim would like it too, because it's got a lot of music in it, even though it's not a musical.
They said themselves that they wanted to try and make it as much of a musical as they could, even though it's technically not.
Yeah, there's that one song with Kim Jong Un or whatever the name
Yeah,
is.
the Kim Jong. Oh, I guess you're right. Ronri might be one.
Ronri is technically like a musical
That would
piece,
be
but
like
the
the one
rest of it
because
Yeah.
is a
he has
soundtrack.
performances on a stage. They have the Rent, the Everybody Has
Yeah.
AIDS song,
Yeah.
and then all the rest of the music, like America and the Pearl Harbor song, the Why Does Michael Bay Keep Making Movies, whatever one, and Freedom Isn't Free. Those are all just standard songs that are playing in the background. They're non-diegetic. But you're right. That Ronry is totally a musical number.
Yeah, I know, and I think they said there was a joke that Trey Parker said that their hope is that to get Ronly nominated for an Oscar and convince Kim Jong Un to like perform it at the Academy Awards or something really stupid. It didn't happen, but yeah, didn't get nominated, but it was still a great song.
That's awesome.
Did anybody end up seeing In the Heights?
No, it didn't look good to me.
I saw it, and your impression, as far as I'm concerned, was correct.
Okay.
Apparently, according to the 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, both audience and critics at 94%, I'm in the minority in saying that this was a musical that did not work for me. But yeah, and actually, this is I think this is an interesting contrast, between like La La Land, which I regard as being a very good musical, as opposed to In the Heights, in that I think that La La Land was mostly, again, what we've been talking about, songs that kind of serve as soliloquies, and kind of these emotional heights and so on and so forth. Whereas, like, honestly, very early in the Heights, there was just this line from that's being sung by one of the characters. It was like, that's like, I work at a hair salon, and I'm literally watching you working in a hair salon. Like, why I mean, that would be a bad line of just regular dialogue. Why do you need to sing that you're working in a hair salon while I'm watching you work at a hair salon?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I mean, it would be bad dialogue, and but the fact that somebody actually felt like writing a song lyric in there. I work at a hair salon. I mean, this isn't like Shakespeare being performed at the Globe Theater, where everything's being performed in broad sunlight, and you have to put in a line about how it's nighttime now. But
Well, it's Lin-Manuel Miranda. He overwrites, hence
yeah,
like Hamilton. But maybe specifically in that one, he didn't sharpen his his instincts. Yeah, I think it was like one of his. It came before Hamilton on Broadway or something. Or
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Talking about the Broadway stuff, and also kind of heightening, going back to the discussion of the use of pop songs and whatever, popular song or mainstream music, whatever, instead of original stuff. I went into Rock of Ages thinking I was going to love every second of it, and I really was a huge letdown. I mean, it's totally my kind of music. Like I figured I would love it. That's another one like Chicago that I think if I saw it on stage, I'd probably love it. But 2 minutes into that movie, I'm like, I think they're singing like if I remember correctly, it's like a Night Ranger song or something. And they have this like little child peek over the back of a bus like seat or something and sing like the end of the chorus or something. And I almost threw up in my mouth. I was like, somewhere these guys, if they're dead, they're probably rolling in their grave. I don't even know if they are. Maybe this might kill them. It would be bad. I hope it doesn't. But it's just a really bad movie. I mean, there's some great moments with like Tom Cruise and stuff like that, but it's just a bad movie.
Yeah. I guess we'll see how. It seems like the remake that Spielberg made for
West
whatchamacallit,
Side Story.
What's That Story,
West
like
Side.
is getting rave reviews. So yeah, it's interesting. It's always interesting to see what he does with stuff, especially like on a technical
Yeah.
place. Um, I was gonna mention also like honorable mention. I think what's his name from Jason Segel from How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, Jason Segel.
Yeah, he was on a little bit of a tear. I felt like as far as like musicals because he did
Oh, the
he did
Muppet movie.
the Muppet movie, but he also before that he did the like Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which
Yeah,
was
that
a
has like
very
2 numbers in it.
musical,
Yeah,
like several numbers because he's a
yeah.
musician and then she dates a rock
The Dracula
star.
musical.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's got like some of the songs there are like fantastic. I still
Oh
listen to
yeah,
them on my
I still listen to
playlist.
that Russell Brand one.
Yeah, like we gotta do something.
Oh, I was talking about Inside of You, but yeah, both
Oh,
of them.
Inside of You,
They're
that
great.
one too. Yeah, Inside of You, that one's like crazy.
African
No,
Child.